For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. First off, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. It is it's becoming a New Year's Day tradition to have my next guest on. This is the second year in a row, and I'm sure we'll have her on again next year and, whatever. It was kind of funny. I asked her, we have Nia Nicholls on here today. And I asked her, was it about 3 months ago, if you were doing like a super secret release or something on New Year's Day, and if you wanted to book a podcast, and you said, yeah, let's book the podcast. I might have something. I was like, okay, perfect. And then, so now it's just kind of becoming a tradition. So
yeah, I love that.
Welcome back to the podcast. You were on for our Pan Can fundraiser, which was a huge success, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to jump on there for a little bit. I felt really bad after the interview because I was sitting there because you caught me in the middle of the broadcast. I was dead tired. I was doped up on sinus medication because my sinuses were killing me that day. Oh, and I went back and listened. I went back as I was kind of like dividing out all the podcasts and just like release them as single episodes. I'm pretty sure I asked you the same question 3 times.
Did you? I didn't even notice. So there you go.
I'm pretty sure I asked you the same question 3 times. I was just sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm just watching myself, and I'm like, oh, you're in so much pain right now. And so
no, that's fine.
And then like at some point later on in that day, the sinus medication finally kicked in and like got out of my system, and I felt fine because like the night before I was on like 4 hours of sleep, and it was rough in general. But
yeah, I mean, it's fine because like I did an interview the other day on a local radio station, and they were doing a fundraiser that lasted it was like a 24-hour broadcast. So it's the same 2 hosts. They were just on for 24 hours, and like by the time he got to me, they had done 21 hours. Yeah. And he said to me on the phone before we went on, he was like, look, I'm really sorry if I sound really tired. I have slept. So it's fine.
I got you. No, and I honestly, I was talking to because the foundation was so happy with us and everything we were able to do for them. Even though we didn't hit our goal, they were just like, dude, we want to work with you again next year. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do 3 days because that's insanity. But I think something along the lines of doing 24 hours, like if I can get my co-host in, and do 24 hours, like if one of us needs to step out for a few minutes or an hour or 2 hours just to kind of catch ourselves, it's a little bit easier that way. But, it's definitely something that we want to try and do again. So.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And it looked like it was a success, from all the different artists you had on. You had so many. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we had artists from Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland, France, Pakistan.
Wow.
Yeah, with like 8, 9, maybe 10 different countries. Like, because there were some people that just didn't tell me where they were from. So it's just like, all right, cool. So
yeah, that's so cool though. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. But well, thank you once again for jumping on here. How was we were talking a little bit before we jumped on here. How was your New Year's Eve?
Yeah, no, it was all right. It was quite nice. I mean, everything I was planning on going to just got canceled like pretty last minute. So I ended up just going out with my brother and a few of his friends to this pub in town. And that was kind of it, to be honest. And I didn't really get up to much. How about you?
Oh, I was watching this show called 1883. I don't know if you've heard of it in the US or in the UK.
No, I don't think so.
So basically, it's this show about the Oregon Trail where U.S. settlers go from the East Coast and try to settle out in, I think it's Oregon, honestly. And it's a series about their journey through the Oregon Trail. And it was just a new thing that launched, or it's a new series that launched a few weeks ago. I'm getting caught up on it. So last night I was watching the second episode and
Nice.
fell asleep. Not because the show was bad. It was just tired.
That's fair enough, though. I mean, it's like last New Year's Eve. I mean, obviously we couldn't do anything then because we were just about to go into another lockdown. And like all my friends, they were like sending me photos of themselves. They had all dressed up and they weren't going out. They were just with their families. And I messaged one of my best friends, Rebecca, who lives up north. Yeah. And I said, Rebecca, I'm in my pajamas right now, just painting like on postcards. And I was like, I feel like I should be doing something more. And she said, no, honestly, same. She said, I'm just chilling with my parents in my living room in my pajamas and I'm going to go to bed once it strikes midnight. And I was like, nice. Yeah.
That's so it like, even if you think about how much has changed, like where we were at this time last year with everything being in super serious lockdown. And then now it's like things are opening back up, but there's this threat of like the Omicron variant, you know, and all that stuff. It's just like, it feels like we're in an endless cycle of what the hell is going on. So
I know it's literally like Groundhog Day as well. Like us talking on New Year's Day, and there's still something going on with COVID. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. So, obviously, since we've talked last, I think you've played a couple of shows, right? Have you, or
yeah, I have. When was the last time it was the fundraiser, right?
Yeah, it was the fundraiser about a month ago.
About a month ago. Oh yeah, I had a few Christmas gigs. I had one up in London, which was really cool because I haven't really performed much in London because I'm from sort of like a little town in the middle of nowhere kind of thing, you know. So I had never really played much in London. So I'm starting to get some more opportunities there now, which is really, really cool. And it was such a fun gig as well because it was like an all original thing. And I'm hoping over the next year or next few months, actually, I'm hoping to play more in London. So, you know, follow me on Facebook and Instagram to see when I'm going to be doing that. Nice.
And so you don't play in London that often? Is that kind of the gist?
No, I don't really. I mean, I was in university, obviously, well, I just graduated this summer, and that was in Bath. And so I really just played in Bath, a little bit of Bristol, I think a little bit in like Wales, South Wales. And then I just never came over to London, to be honest. I don't know why, because it's so close. It's like 2.5 hours, but I just never did.
Yeah. I got an education a few weeks ago because like I've interviewed a lot of people from the UK, and I just say the UK in general because I'm not familiar with like the geographical locations of everything. And so I had somebody from Jersey, I think.
Jersey, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I had somebody from Jersey, and I after the podcast, I asked him like, hey, kind of break this down for me because I don't understand all, like, how is it, you know, how does this all work? And he was like, okay, so Jersey is its own like thing. It's not really part of England or anything. And he kind of tried to break it down. And I'm like, yeah, it still doesn't make sense, but I'll figure it out one of these days. So
yeah, to be honest, I don't even really understand it. So it's fine. I've been to Jersey though. Or was it Jersey or was it Guernsey? But it's kind of close. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know that they weren't part of England. I feel like my parents are going to be rolling their eyes at me right now. They're going to be like, oh God, what happened in school? She's learned nothing.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything in school. So
I failed geography. So
see, I was actually really good at geography, but it was US geography. So it was like, you know, like we have our states and then we have our territories, which makes sense. Like they're part of the, yeah. And so I was trying to equate it all, but it just wasn't adding up for me. So, but
yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. So we're gonna twist it up here a little bit because I had somebody when I posted the event page on Facebook, somebody asked a question and I thought it was kind of an interesting question. It comes from Meryl. What is your favorite song you've written?
Oh, my favorite song that I've written. To be honest, my favorite song I've written is always like my newest release, which is very fickle of me, to be honest. So the next one that I'm actually releasing, which will be this month, that's kind of my favorite at the moment. But then I also have another song coming out in a few months' time called I Wrote You a Love Song, which is just so different to how I normally write. It's a little bit more jazzy, which is kind of interesting. And I think that's also my favorite. But out of the songs I've released, I would have to say probably He's Not You is my favorite. So if you're familiar with my stuff, you might know He's Not You, and that's probably my favorite.
Nice. You know how to perfectly segue into the next topic of conversation, which is your where you're currently at musically. I know when we talked previously, you'd mentioned that you weren't going to have something releasing today, but maybe sometime this week or in January. So what do you got going on? Where are you kind of at creatively?
So I've got quite a few songs ready to be released now. And so the next single I have coming out will be out this month. It'll be out in, I think, about 3 weeks' time. So I'm really excited about that one. And it's called If You Want to Sign. And you know what? What's really interesting about this one is that it's 6.5 minutes long. It's a very long song. And so originally we weren't really planning on releasing it. I mean, I was like pushing for it to be released. But you know how things are these days. You're not really going to get a lot of radio play from a 6.5 minute song. So we were all a little bit apprehensive about it, but now I think we've all just decided, this is the one we've got to put out next. So 3 weeks time it'll be coming out.
Do you channel your inner Freddie Mercury on that one?
Yeah, totally. No, you know what? It's completely different to that. I mean, I wish it could kind of replicate Bohemian Rhapsody, but absolutely not. Completely different.
Well, you know, and it's funny you brought up the radio, because when we had our radio show last year, we weren't afraid to play 6, 8, 10-minute songs, just because there was points where it was like, all right, we really don't have anything to talk about this segment. Let's put on a super long episodic song and just kind of eat away at the time limit here.
Yeah. That's so cool.
You know, it's one of those things where it's just like, let's try it. Let's see what happens. So, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, because the song just got repetitive and whatnot. But
I know that's the thing. Sometimes you can't like really cut them down, and like you don't want it. Like, it's like the Celine Dion song, It's All Coming Back to Me Now. I'm pretty sure that's a 7-minute song. And I listened to the radio edit and then I listened to the full thing, and I'm like, I love the radio edit, it's fine, but sometimes you just can't cut down these awesome songs. Like, you just can't do it. So that's so cool that you just played 6.5 minute songs or 8-minute songs.
We played, there was one song that I'm almost positive was like 14 minutes. It was an instrumental, and it was just one of those deals where it's like, well, the entire episode's about instrumental music, so there you go. And I don't remember how well it was received, but it seemed to do all right. So
that's good. Well, why not? You know, like, we don't have enough radio stations playing songs like that are over really 3.5 minutes. You know, I put out Forever Hold My Peace, which is obviously like my latest single that I put out end of October. And I think that's a 4.5 minute song. And a lot of the local radio stations and independent stations, they play it and it's fine. But then when you get to the national radio stations, they're a little bit more choosy. And it's like, oh God, like, it's 4.5 minutes. It's not even really that long a song, but it's the way it is with programming, and they have to have the timings perfect. So we need more of you guys doing that. Well,
and it's one of those things where they're trying to hit their break point, like, just kind of know the little bit that I know about how national radio and all that stuff works. They're trying to hit their break points, and they know, okay, the best time for this ad to play is at 6:15. It is 6:11. We need to be out in 4 minutes, you know? And so, like, that all makes sense. But at the same point, it's like, so you're really going to cut this song down and maybe take the heart and soul out of it just to hit your 4 minute, you know, whatever it is. So,
yeah, exactly.
So this new song that you got coming out in a few weeks, what was the name of it again?
But if you want to sign.
If you want to sign, okay. And so for if you want to sign, how long have you been working on it? When did you write it? You know.
So I wrote this song during like the summer,
Mhm.
and I wrote it when I was feeling a little bit sad about something that, you know, I couldn't really change. And I really hate that. Like, if you can't fix something that's making you sad, it's just really, it just drives me insane. But I wrote this song, and I kind of think that this song really reminded me why I loved songwriting so much. Not that there's ever been a day where I haven't enjoyed it and haven't loved it, but it's because after I wrote it, I kind of forgot about what I was sad about. I just moved on. Like, the page turned, new chapter began, and I said everything I needed to say in the song, and I'm moving on. And that's kind of what songwriting has always been like for me. It's my way of venting. So I'm really excited that it's finally coming out. But I actually recorded it, I think it was November. We recorded it. Actually, no, maybe October. So it's sort of been there in the pipeline for a few months, but of course I had Forever Hold My Peace ready to go first. So we put that one out, and then it was Christmas, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to put this song out whilst everyone's listening to Christmas music. Yeah. So I'm excited that it's coming out this month, and hopefully people like it. And I really hope they do, because it's one of my favorite songs that I've written.
Yeah, for sure. Are you doing a music video and all that stuff for it, or is it just going to be the single?
Yeah, I'm not too sure at the moment. It probably, I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I'm hoping I can do some sort of visual thing with this song, like whether it's just me sort of in an acoustic live lounge kind of setting, because I just think that's important to have those sort of visuals. But I don't have any plans for an actual music video for this song, because I don't know, I just can't. It's such a long song. I'm thinking, how am I going to make a music video that's that interesting for 6.5 minutes?
Honestly, I think like a live doing I obviously I don't know what it sounds like, if it's more stripped back acoustic, you know, whatever the feel and vibe of it is, but like just doing a stripped back live performance video of it may be the best way to go. Or doing a lyric video, like if you have somebody that can do that and make it good and visually appealing, I guess is the best way to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do with it, and you know, I think I'm just going to be spending the next couple of weeks just sorting that out, and I'll send you the song as well before it comes out, because I'd love for you to hear it. And it's quite a big song actually, but I think it works acoustically because I wrote it acoustically. You know, I didn't have backing track and write to that. I just wrote it on my guitar. And so I think it could sound really cool just stripped back, but it is quite a big song in the whole production.
See, that's why I didn't assume, because I know you have the ability to do like a stripped back acoustic version or do something big. I don't want to say overproduced, because that's not the wording I want to use, but just like big in the way of it's produced. So that sounds really cool. I'm really excited to hear the new single. And do you have a specific date for it yet, or is it just 3 weeks and we'll nail down the official date here soon?
I think I'm like 95% sure it's 21st of January.
Okay. I was gonna say, if you don't have a date for sure, that you don't have to bring it up, but it's
fine. I'm pretty sure it's the 21st. But you know, it's something about Christmas. Trying to get like everything set in stone around this time, it's just so up in the air, because everyone's home for the holidays, everyone's with their family, and but I'm pretty sure it's 21st of January, and if I'm wrong about that, then I'm sorry.
For sure, I completely understand. So the one thing that I did want to talk to you about, because you have experience releasing a Patreon and getting that out there, and we just launched ours last night. We were supposed to launch it today, but we launched. I was sitting there and I got a little antsy, and I was like, no, I just want to put it out there today. I want to get it out there. And so it's out there if anybody's interested. It's on our Facebook page. Last time it was last time we talked. No, not last time. When we talked last January, I think that's when you originally launched yours, because you were doing a series of projects for school. And is my memory serving me correctly?
I think it was around about that time I put up my Patreon for the first time.
So what was the takeaway and some of the like learning curves you went through launching your Patreon page?
Well, so when I first set it up, pretty much everyone was against me on it. Because for us in the UK, Patreon isn't a very American thing.
Mhm.
That, whenever I go to like Tennessee, for instance,
Yeah.
everyone that I meet with, they're like, oh, sign up to my Patreon, sign up to this, sign up to my Patreon again. And so when I told everyone, oh, I'm going to set one up here, no one really thought I was going to get a lot of patrons in. But I did, surprisingly. And I think something that really helped me for getting those patrons is saying this is only for a limited amount of time. It's only for 6 months. So get it while you can. It's exclusive stuff. And so all the Brits, they were very supportive of me then, which was really great. But it was a big learning curve because I just had no clue about it, and the website could get a bit confusing. And I'm not great at technology.
For sure. It's one of those things where when we were going to release one last year, and then I just didn't have my stuff together to do it. And so it was just kind of like after I got home after I got home from my mom's funeral and all that stuff, I just kind of took a few weeks and just kind of got myself together. And then we started planning out the Patreon page, because it was like, we've got so many things that we want to do. I can't keep footing the bill for all this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's launch a Patreon page, see what happens. Because like we want to get it back out and travel again, like the occasional short trip to like go to Nashville, Memphis, where like just places that are within like 8 to 10 hours. That's not a hard thing to do. But when we want to do like big grand road trips and take like a week off of work and go travel across the West Coast or the East Coast, whatever it is, that's a huge financial commitment. And just kind of having that financial backing would be really amazing. So I think that's kind of why we ultimately did it. And we got some new content ideas that we want to release. And while we can do most of it as we sit right now, we'd have to do it out in Roswell, New Mexico, and it doesn't have the biggest music scene. So we'd have to go somewhere else. So like, we have this new idea for like a talent show style podcast and video podcast.
Cool.
And so it's a really interesting idea and something that I've been wanting to do for a few months now. And it's like, we can't do it out in Roswell because there's just not enough people out there. And we could probably do it in Waco, but then you're going to kind of fall into one genre of red dirt Texas country, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But I want to go somewhere where if we put out a memo, a lot of people are going to show up and just be like, hey, we're here. So
yeah, it sounds really cool. And like, Patreon is a really cool way of just sort of raising a bit of money on the side for that trip, so it's going to be really cool. And I'm signing up to it as well, by the way.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Appreciate it. And just looking through the comment thread here, your dad confirmed 21st it is.
Thanks, Dad.
Hi, Dad. Thank you for watching. So, no, so I just saw that and I was like, okay, let's bring that in. So your Patreon was originally for, you were doing a series of music videos, right?
Yeah, I was, I think it was just sort of like one music video and then possibly, I wasn't quite sure on all the details. I just knew I wanted to do a music video and then possibly like a smaller sort of live lounge kind of video. But then what I ended up doing, because I did exceed my goal in like what I was raising money for, I decided to do the music video and then also do a photo shoot for Forever Hold My Peace. So all the photos of that came from Patreon. And actually, I think a lot of the photos from like the past couple months were from that. So it worked out really nicely because it was just such a cool campaign that I was able to do. And, I had this vision for Forever Hold My Peace that I wanted it to be like a wedding. I was interrupting it. And again, people were like, really? Do you really want to do that? I don't think that would work. and I proved them wrong, and it was fine.
I will say the music video is amazing. I've watched it a few different times. It's amazing. I love it.
Thank you very much.
I would show you that I still have all the things that I got from the Patreon, but is in my bedroom. And it's like, usually I keep everything like right here. And for whatever reason, I moved it into the other shelf in my bedroom. And I'm like, oh, because you sent me, and it was kind of funny because so when your Patreon was going on was while I was down in Florida helping my dad take care of my mom and all that stuff. And I forgot to forward my mail down to Florida while I was gone. And so I came back and I was like, man, the post office is going to be so mad at me because I forgot to forward my mail. I was holding my mail, and in Texas, you can only do it 1 month at a time.
Oh, okay.
And so I would hold my mail, and then the day it ended, I would hold it again. And so they would just upload or put in whatever the previous month's mail was. Luckily, I don't get a whole lot of mail, but those few months, I got a lot of mail.
Yeah.
And so the day I got home, or the day after I got home, I went out to the mailbox. I was like, all right, can't wait to see what this cluster looks like. My mailbox was full just of random like advertisements and all that stuff. And then there was 2 keys to bigger mailboxes. One was all of your packages.
Yeah.
And then one was a bunch of other packages that I forgot were coming. And I'm like, well, I guess it could be worse. And so like I pull all these packages out. And then the next day I was leaving for work or something, and I ran into the mailman, and I was like, and I went to go check my mail because he had just went to go pull out whatever mail I'd gotten that day. And he's like, he saw me, he was like, you're the guy that wasn't emptying his mailbox. And I was like, there's a reason, I swear. And I kind of explained it to him. And he's like, oh, I get it. Don't worry about it. So
that's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, you must have had so many from me, because they were like big envelopes as well.
Yeah,
and
they were big envelopes. And I'm sitting there. I remember when I signed up, I was just like, man, I don't know. Because at that point, I didn't know how like sending mail from the UK over to the US worked in general. And then with COVID, all that stuff. But then I came back and I had all this stuff, and I was like, awesome. I do have one thing though here. Hold on. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. I did get your best wishes card though. The that you sent after my mom passed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad.
So I really appreciate that. And I know I didn't say anything on the other stream, but I did want to bring that up because I saw it the other day as I was kind of cleaning and all that stuff. So I do appreciate that.
Oh, no, that's fine. Well, I'm glad it got to you because, you never know, to be honest, from the UK if things are going to get to the US. So, yeah, I'm glad you got it.
Yeah, I did. Anyways, so Patreon, that's done. Are you looking at doing something like that again? Or is it just kind of like I'm going to continue moving with my music as I see fit?
I'm definitely going to start up Patreon again, but I think I'm not going to make so much work for myself this time, because I didn't really anticipate how many people were going to sign up to the last one I did.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, so I had 3 different tiers. I had like a £3 tier, £5, and then I think 10. And I thought everyone's going to go for the £3 tier, and that's fine. That's like a little video message from me and like something else. I thought that'll be fine, but no, everyone went for the £10 one, which was like a lyric sheet and then like all this painting stuff on it. And I just thought, oh my God, I don't know, I think maybe about 20 people signed up to that. It was, and you know what? I blame you for it. God's sake, you're so supportive. God. But it killed me though towards the end, because of course I had school and I was just finishing up and I had so many lyric sheets to write, and oh man, it just became so much work. And so I think the next time I do it, I probably won't do lyric sheets again. I think I might do a little watercolor painting. I'm not too sure. And yeah, just make it a little bit less work because it was quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, because I was sitting there, I was like, because I didn't know how many like patrons, because obviously like when I signed up and then after my mom got sick, I stopped kind of paying attention to a lot of stuff. And I just, you know, it is what it is. And when I got back and I started seeing all these lyric sheets, I was like, man, does she just have like 100 songs sitting somewhere that either A, she hasn't released yet, or B, you know, just like whatever. And now that you explain it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. So
yeah, I mean, to be honest, it is completely my fault because I did not expect. It's because I said it's only for 6 months, and like people were obviously more what's the word? I can't remember,
supportive.
But they were. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they're more like, well, it's a limited time. It's only going to go on for a few months. And everyone was really supportive, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And I thought the reason why I made the lyric sheets like the £10 tier, because I thought no one's going to do it. Maybe 3 people, it would be fine.
Everybody did it.
Everybody did. And it killed me. My hand was aching. And and I did actually start out by writing quite a few lyric sheets just in case, but man, they flew off very quickly. So
that's interesting.
It's a really good problem to have, though. It's a great sort of first world problem there. Like, God, too many people signed up to my £10 tier.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, hey, it really helped to make the music video great. You reached your goal and all that stuff. So that's incredible. And and that's what you went through is also my concern, because it's like, oh, I'll make this like a super big like a super big tier with all these cool things, and like I'm concerned now that like that's where everybody's gonna go. It's like, oh crap.
I know. I guess it's all a learning curve, though. And like, I looked at so many people's different Patreons whilst I was doing mine, and really, like, their big tier, it's not like they have like a whole, like they do have a lot of stuff, but it's all sort of digital. So it's all like, oh, behind the scenes content and like a song I haven't released, and that's fine because that's like a few email clicks and it's sent off and it's like chill. But yeah, I don't see too many people doing like physical stuff, you know, really, unless they're like a full-on artist and like that's what they do all the time. So it's quite interesting to see how other people do it, and I think that's really helped me for the next time I set up my Patreon. Probably won't be doing as many like
tiers,
hand drawings, and but you know, it's all a learning curve. And you know what, if everyone signs up to your big tier, again, great problem to have. It's awesome.
And so like what I ended up doing for like for anybody that hasn't checked it out yet, is instead of like monthly sending something to them, they get like, I mean, they have like a small, like something small that they'll get monthly, but like as far as something that's going to take me a bunch of time to kind of get to them, it's every 6 months. So it's just kind of like, oh, you're in the big tier, every 6 months I'll give you like a big surprise or prize package, not prize package. That was really weird. But you know, like you get like a big grab bag type situation. And hopefully that'll give me enough time to kind of figure out. It's like, okay, it's June, so you don't need a hoodie or a sweatshirt or any of this stuff. You need t-shirts, you need, you know, like whatever it is. So
oh, that's a good idea, though. I might steal that.
Well, because I saw somebody do it, except I felt like the way they were doing it was kind of excessive. So it was like for every 4 months that you paid, I think it was like 50 or 60 bucks a month, you got like a coffee mug, which was really weird. It's like, oh, the most expensive coffee mug in the world. And like they were good coffee mugs, but even like really good coffee mugs cost not that much money. So it was just like, okay, so that's all stuff that I'm kind of searching through and trying to figure out as we go. And I don't expect like a huge influx of people. I expect it to kind of be like, oh, a person signed up the first week, cool, appreciate it, and then just kind of going from there, because it is such a long-term project, and we do want to get out to music festivals, and to kind of segue into our next topic of conversation, because I know you'd mentioned in December that you are trying to come back out to Tennessee for during the summer, depending on what
Yes.
COVID does.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely planning on that. And just going back to Memphis and Nashville as well for a little bit. But really, I do want to go back to Memphis because a lot of my friends are from there, and I haven't seen them in, I guess
2
like
years.
2 years. Yeah. Oh my God. So gross to think. But yeah, so I really miss them, and I just miss the whole atmosphere as well of Memphis, because you have so many songwriter venues, you have so many places to perform, and I don't have a lot of songwriter venues around here. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say a rare thing, but you would have to travel to like London for it. You know what I mean? So I'm planning on going out. I'm planning on staying hopefully for a summer, but we'll see what happens. I mean, my brother, he went to Canada a couple of months ago, and obviously that was allowed with COVID. They were allowed to do that. But he still said there were so many things that they couldn't do whilst they were out there. And he said, yeah, so I don't want to be in that situation when I get out to America. I don't want that to be anything that I can't do. I want to be able to.
As of right now, as long as you're vaccinated, there's really nothing you can't do in America.
Oh, okay.
The way I'm kind of seeing how things are going, yeah, some of the New Year's Eve stuff was canceled or whatever, but as far as I'm seeing it, there's really nothing you can't do.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm hoping by the summer. I mean, I've literally said this every year since I started, but I'm hoping by the summer it'll be okay.
I was talking to somebody about that we had on in the middle of the podcast, or at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were talking about how we hoped by the summer everything would be good and we'd be back out doing our thing. And then we had him on later in 2021, and it was basically the same exact conversation. And now here we sit in 2022, and it's like,
oh God, it's just here
we go. So it's
quite disheartening.
Yeah, but no, I had some friends of yours on. I don't know if you caught them during the fundraiser stream. We had Savannah and Amber Ray Dunn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I might have caught. I saw Amber's interview. I don't think I saw Savannah's.
It was probably later in the day, like late in the day for you, because I want to say she came on at like 2 or 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Because originally, what's funny is, so when she signed, because there was, for whatever reason, a lot of people were confused about how the timing of everything worked out. And so originally Savannah was signed up at like 2 a.m. U.S. Central Time. And I was like, okay, she's a night owl. Makes sense. Cool. And then I reached out to her like a couple of days beforehand. I was like, hey, so we got you confirmed for this time. Is that what the time you really wanted? And she's like, wait, it's 2 a.m. Can we change that? And I was like, let me see what I got for you. And luckily, like, the schedule didn't fill up because it allowed me to sleep and all that stuff. But yeah, so she was she moved, and I think it would have probably been like 8 or 9 p.m. your time. So
yeah, that's the thing with like the whole time difference stuff. I still get confused now. Like, even what time is it over there at the moment? It's like
8:43 a.m.
Yeah. So you said 8 a.m. Central, and then I was like, wait, what is that? And I say 2 p.m. UK time, and then I doubt myself, and I'm thinking, what if that's wrong?
I have that same exact issue, because when I first started doing this podcast, like just on Zoom and all that stuff, there was a couple of times during the time change for daylight savings time or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That screwed me up, because at the beginning I was doing everything myself. I didn't have the back end of the website kind of doing everything. And I didn't realize that some countries do time changes at different times during the year, and then some countries don't do them at all. And so like there was like even in the US, it's the same way. So we had a band from Hawaii that was going to be on, and I reached out. I was like ready to go, and it was like 5 minutes after the podcast was supposed to start. And I reached out. I was like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, are we still good?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't have you on the schedule for like 2 more hours." And I'm like, 2 more hours? That's going to be like 10 p.m. I'm going to be like in bed or something. And they're like, "Oh, sorry." And so then he was like, "I can hop on and we're good." And so, yeah.
Oh my God, that's the thing. Like daylight savings time. Oh, yeah, that panicked me a little bit as well. Because sometimes I think, oh, is the computer catching up to it? Like, or the calendar thing that you have, like that automatic, you pick a spot.
In
and I'm just like,
theory, it's supposed to be take all that into consideration.
yeah.
I've had it where it's failed a couple times, but that's more of when like a PR person or an agent or, you know, somebody of that nature does it and they live in a different time zone. That's where it kind of gets screwed up. But luckily, most of the PR people that I work with kind of understand, hey, that this is how it works, or they know to look, oh, hey, that's a central. My client lives in Eastern or Mountain, or, you know, and whatever it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so some of them aren't that keen to like looking at what time zone it's in, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, well. I mean, it happens, you know.
For sure. And another thing that I wanted to talk about was your quest to find some sort of management, right? Is that what you're looking for? Or we had this conversation a couple months ago, I want to say, because you were asking about different managers and stuff. Have you found somebody, or are you still kind of looking?
Yeah, I'm just like sort of in contact with a few people at the moment. I mean, obviously nothing set in stone, just sort of like meeting them really and just seeing what happens, and if they're going to work with me, if I'm interested in working with them. And you know, they're pretty much all based like in London, and that's kind of what I've been looking for. So yeah, I mean, hopefully in the next few months something happens from that, and I'll totally keep you updated on it.
Awesome. Because I remember when you reached out to me and asked, or maybe you just posted something on Instagram. I don't remember how I found out about it.
I might have messaged you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably.
And then, which brings up another point about LinkedIn. And when we talked about that last year, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, but it was interesting when you asked me about management or PR people and just kind of if I had any connections. It was like a lot of PR people. I don't really deal with a lot of management types unless it's like tour managers or something. But I know I had given you one or two different names of people, and hopefully something comes of that. So I'm really excited to see where that kind of all lands for you.
Thanks. I mean, that's the thing, like with managers and then PR and then like agencies. Oh my God, there's so many different types of people out there now for different types of things. And in my head, it's like manager, it pretty much kind of covers everything in my opinion. But then obviously you have different like PR, as you said, it's a completely different thing and it gets super confusing.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's just like that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out here at Live and Amplified is how we can cut out a lot of those extra hands reaching into the pot. Cause it's like, okay, so you got your manager, and then you got a tour manager, and then you got your PR agent, and then you got this person and that person and this person. And it's like, do we really, really need all these people? You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes it can get a little bit too much. Like sometimes you just need to talk to the artist, or, you know, if there's one person that's like sort of in charge of like overseeing that. But yeah, you don't need so many different people. That's just confusing.
Yeah, because there's this one guy that I haven't had him on the podcast yet, but we've been in a couple different times we've had this conversation. And every time I go to like different like not PR websites, but I'll go to like a PR site, and then I'll go to like a management site just to kind of see who their client list is, see if there's anybody that I want to have on the podcast or, what have you. I've seen this guy on like 4 or 5 different client lists. I'm like, why? This, like, you're on, like, you have he has like 2 or 3 different press people, which is like, if you're killing it like that, cool, congratulations.
Yeah.
But why are we on, like, why do we have like 3 different press PR people? So
that's kind of interesting, actually. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Do you really need 3? I mean, unless you're sort of like A-list celebrity, maybe, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But I brought up LinkedIn a little bit ago, and I believe it was this time last year that I suggested LinkedIn to you. How's it been going?
Yeah, it's been going really well. And I've met so many people through LinkedIn, and like, it's just such a cool tip that you gave me, because I don't know why I didn't really think of it originally, but I don't think, like, maybe as an artist, you think that LinkedIn would like be beneficial, because like that's for like actual people who are maybe in business and stuff like that. But it does work out for artists really well. And I kind of just went through all the radio stations I could find, and I ended up finding loads of new radio stations and people who I'm in contact with now. And some are based in the States, some are in Australia, and it's just been really cool. And yeah, I'm planning to get back on LinkedIn and start plugging the next single and see what happens there. But yeah, it's a really cool tip. I love it.
Nice. It's funny that you brought up like the radio station. It's also a good opportunity if you want to start getting like endorsement deals is what it's called. I'm so out of the loop on that one, but like getting endorsement deals or becoming signing deals with like different products. Like if you have a certain type of guitar you like to use, or amps or picks or strings, like whatever it is, and becoming a sponsored artist or however it works, that's actually a really good place to do it as well. Like that's, I actually use, like, I'm pretty sure I've told you this story. I know I've said it on the podcast before, but like when in 2019, I used LinkedIn to kind of not trick, but get the attention of a company to do a trial sponsorship. So basically, they sent us a bunch of free gear, and in exchange, we just kind of put their ad at the end of a bunch of videos that we did, and it was really cool. Didn't work out the way we wanted to, but we got a bunch of free likes. So
well, there you go. And it's all sort of trial and error, isn't it, for stuff like that? But that's a really cool idea, actually. I mean, I've tried to look into sort of sponsorships and all that kind of thing. But when you just go through emails and emailing people, a lot of the time they just don't reply. And I have looked at LinkedIn for like a lot of management. I've looked into that as well. And again, like, that's been pretty helpful. And, even if nothing happens, still getting a contact, and that's pretty great.
Here's kind of the trick to all that, though, as far as like attracting management or attracting sponsors or endorsement deals or whatever, is they get emails all the time. Like you got to imagine they get hundreds, if not thousands, of emails daily about, hey, I'm a musician, I use your amp or whatever, So what you have to do is get them in a platform that a lot of musicians aren't thinking to use, which is LinkedIn. It's a little bit more of a professional setting, as long as you're not posting outrageous things, which you never post outrageous things anyways, but just kind of keeping it a little bit more professional, and taking like your music video, one of your music videos or live videos, or, something like that, and just casually posting it on LinkedIn. And as you're going through that, just adding. So let's say you like using Gibson guitars. That's the only name I can come up with. We'll go there. So you start adding people that work at Gibson. So it's like, oh, he's a sales executive at Gibson. Cool. Just like whatever it is, start adding people. And then eventually you'll kind of work yourself into the ecosystem of people that you're adding, and they'll start noticing your stuff, and eventually the right person's going to notice it. And if they like what you have and they want to work with you, they'll reach out to you. So it's kind of easing yourself into the ecosystem of whatever company or whatever, and just kind of making it feel like I don't want to say making it feel like they want to work with you, but just kind of making it feel like they voluntarily found you. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm going with that one. So, that's kind of how we worked it, and it seemed to work out really well. And eventually I'll try to do it again and see if I can get into somebody else's ecosystem. So,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like the cool thing about LinkedIn is like you add someone, let's say from Gibson, let's just say that. And then all the other people that work there, they just come up on the side and then you're like, add.
Yeah. And like 80% of the people aren't going to accept your friend request, which is fine.
Yeah. But that's the way it goes, you just got to get used to it.
Once you get that one or two people to add you, then they start realizing, oh, hey, we've got a mutual friend in common.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's something that I've found out, and it seems to work really well. So
yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
Advice for every musician out there: work yourself into the ecosystem and things will start happening for you.
100%. And I've told everyone about LinkedIn as well. Like if anyone ever messages me in there, they ask me like, how do you like get into these radio stations? How did you do that? I'm like, LinkedIn. Like, just do it. Just get on there and start messaging people and adding people and see what happens. And it definitely makes a difference for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And LinkedIn, it's early like I said it last year, but it's like really early on Facebook. They don't have all these crazy restrictions and all that stuff. And I think there's a real opportunity to kind of explode and be something on LinkedIn. So
definitely 100%.
But I don't want to keep you too much longer. So let me kind of roll through here and make sure nobody dropped any questions. I don't think. But before we kind of wrap it up, what do you have upcoming? Do you have any, obviously you got the release coming, but do you have any shows, any of that fun stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of sort of gigs planned for the next like couple of months, but things pop up out of the blue, and so I don't know where I'm performing this month, but again, keep up to date with me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and you'll see where I'm playing next. And I'm hoping it's gonna be a steady year of gigs now, to be honest. That's kind of like my New Year's resolution, because last year, although gigs were sort of back around like the summertime, I still had all of my gigs cancelled for July. And I thought, oh, this is so ridiculous. Like, I get these gigs and they get cancelled. So my New Year's resolution is just to get 50 gigs like in the bag. And that's not impossible. That's not out of reach. But, with COVID, it's a bit of an obstacle. So I'm hoping like if I just set that New Year's resolution and then I can exceed that, that's great. And COVID be damned. It's fine.
Well, since you already answered my last question,
sorry.
Kind of. My last question was, what are your goals for 2022? So if you have anything to add, I will kind of lay that one in there for you.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm obviously going to be releasing more music, and my goals really are to get out to the States and, play out there and do all that kind of stuff. And I've also got like a show actually in like my village hall, which is going to be really fun because it's me and my band playing for 2 hours and it's just us performing, and so I'll post about that soon. And I think that's like the first 2-hour show I've done with my band, so that's kind of a big deal for me. So I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully after that gig, which is going to be in April, there'll just be more opportunities like that where I can perform longer shows with the band rather than just acoustically. So yeah, those are sort of like my goals really, to get more headlining slots with my band, go to the States, play 50 gigs, but definitely try and exceed that
Yeah.
and release more music.
Awesome. So as we did on the live stream, I've brought back our random question generator.
Nice.
Yeah, right. We did that with you.
Yeah.
So I've got your question right here to kind of wrap up the show, and hopefully it doesn't spark like another half-hour conversation, but it might. Who knows? In your opinion, what is the best movie that's been released in 2021?
Oh, have I? Oh my gosh.
Your opinion. So
I don't even know what I've watched this year, to be honest. What are some of the movies that have come out this year? Because I can't.
knew you were going to ask me that. Like, I mean, Spider-Man's the big one that everyone seems to be referencing.
I haven't seen that one yet. I really want to see that one though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let's change it. What's the best movie you've seen in 2021? Does that help you at all?
No.
No.
It doesn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna change it to TV series.
Okay, what's TV series? Let's go. Let's do that.
I really like. I'm not gonna say the whole like title because it's like kind of rude, but it's called Kevin. Well, okay. I don't know if I should say it, but it's Kevin Can Go.
Yep, I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah, on Amazon. And it sounds so rude. I just keep saying it, but it's a really good series because it's like based off like a sitcom, like wife, and everything's all fun and games, and like audience is fake laughing at everything. And as soon as the wife goes into another room, it goes really dark and like very dramatic, and it's a really cool concept. And it's got Annie Murphy from like Schitt's Creek, and she's awesome. So I love that one.
Nice. I remember seeing promos for that series, and I just never followed up to watch it.
It's really good. I definitely recommend it. I like binge watched it in 2 days.
What's it on?
Amazon Prime.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that came out this year. But yeah, very interesting title.
Yeah, for the most part. 100%. I was going to tell you can go ahead and say it if you wanted to, but it's all
I don't like swearing, so it's fine. I don't normally swear.
Gotcha. Well, once again, thank you so much for jumping on here. Hit everybody with your socials one more time before we wrap this up.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and it's all just Nia Nicholls. I'm also on Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you listen, I'm on there. And yeah, thank you so much for having me again for the 4th time. This is so cool.
4 timers club. I think I'm trying to figure out where that happy medium is where it's like, okay, you've been on or like if it's once a year, if it's once a year, twice a year. And obviously, as we kind of grow and we bring in new musicians, I would say like the return rate is probably, at least over the last 2 years, it's been about 20%, I would say, has been like the return guest rate, just because a lot of people come through a PR agent or whatever. And it's like, oh, I really don't want to be here. So, and then you find those people that are there because they either watched the show or they heard through a friend that they watched the show, and then they come back. So it's interesting, which kind of brings me to a thing that I want to do in 2022 about doing random fun facts about Live and Amplified.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. So, do you have a fun fact now about it?
No, I don't. not right now. Because I'm thinking in my head, it would be kind of fun to do it as something like on Instagram. Like I'm trying to figure out how to get our Instagram up and more engaged and all that stuff. And so just like jumping on, doing like a story and saying, hey, if you can guess how many different countries we've had or that we've worked with or something, like, I don't know how I'd word it.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's just getting people engaged on Instagram. I'm trying to do that as well. Like I'm trying to ask questions, get people to sort of respond. And yeah, so there you go. We're in it together.
I will say though that like the people that are watching the stories has gone up drastically over the last 3 months.
That's great.
Which is really good.
Yeah. So it's working.
Yeah, kind of. Like they're watching, but they're not really interacting. So if I do one of those things where I ask a question or put a poll in, maybe one or two people will respond, which is cool. Like I appreciate it, but
you want a
it's
bit
time
more
to get up to the next step where it's like, okay, let's get it going. So, but that's a 2022 problem, and we'll get it solved. So.
Nice.
Awesome. But once again, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Wasn't quite sure how this one was going to go because normally it seems like we know exactly what we're going to talk about, and it was like, oh, okay, well, let's jump into it. But thank you for coming on, 4th time. Can't wait to have you on a 5th time. Hope.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do something when you're in Memphis. We could do it live in person. That seems to be the next jump of things that we want to do, because that's how we used to do it, was live and in person. And now it's like it's been almost 2 years since I've done one live and in person. It's like, oh. Get away from me. Don't touch me. I want to be over here. But, it is what it is. So hopefully. Good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like if we could actually like meet in person when I'm there.
Yeah, for sure. Like Memphis is 8 hours, I want to say. So Memphis isn't too far from me. Maybe not even 8 hours. So it'd definitely be an easy trip to make. But once again, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. Make sure you are following us on all our socials, Live and Amplified, Live, the letter N, Amplified. Would really appreciate it. We're on Instagram, Spotify, Twitter, kind of. I've been trying to get more active on Twitter. I'm trying, guys. Facebook, YouTube, all that fun stuff. And then, like I'd mentioned earlier, we did launch our Patreon page. So if you're interested in checking that out, we are now live on Patreon, and the link is in our Facebook page, and I'll put it in the comment thread and in the description of everything that we release with this podcast. So once again, I do want to thank you all. Nia, thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your first day of 2022.
That's fine. Well, thank you so much for having me.
How has 2022 been treating you before we wrap this up?
It's been amazing, and this is a great way to start it off.
Awesome. Really appreciate you joining us. We're supposed to get freezing temperatures tonight, so I got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to try and accomplish before we get down into like 19 degrees Fahrenheit, which I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's below 0. I know that much.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, cold one.
And so it's like, okay, let's go get some of the stuff that I need to get done, but it's going to be hard on New Year's Day because a lot of places are closed, but it is what it is. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And we will see you guys tomorrow. We have 2 podcasts, one at 9 a.m. and then one at 3:30 p.m. So if you're free, feel free to come in and hang out with us.